Hi guys, welcome to week 6 of our online instruction. I'm here this week to give you guys a short video walking you through the author's point of view. So this week is all about figuring out the author's opinion, basically. Author's point of view is the same thing as an opinion. And the biggest thing when it comes to author's point of view is just remembering that you may agree or you may disagree with what they're saying, but at the end of the day, that's what they think. And that's what we're going to try to find today in our story called Gateway to the West. I love this story because it's all about a landmark called the Gateway Arch, and it's in St. Louis, Missouri, out west. If you've ever been to Missouri, I have not seen this in person, but I remember learning about it when I was a little kid, and it is an iconic, very, very famous landmark, just as famous as the Statue of Liberty or like our Capitol building or the Golden Gate Bridge. It's very, very iconic. And it's important to know why we have it. And there is a reason why it was built and kind of a legend behind it. So that's what we're going to read about today. And the biggest thing is, again, with point of view, we went over this in class. Think back to the lesson where we read those books that were up on my front teacher table that had a different point of view. So we did Little Red Riding Hood from the narrator's point of view, and then Little Red Riding Hood from the wolf's point of view. We also did Cinderella from the point of view of the narrator, and then Cinderella from the point of view of the evil stepmother, the evil stepmother. So it's interesting how the point of view changing can really sway and affect the way the reader is understanding the story. So we are going to learn about what this author, Jeff Rose, thinks about the Gateway Arch. So I'm going to skip over this read to understand piece right there. That part is not for a grade. It's for you to understand what the story is actually talking about. So before you watch my video or go through it with me, make sure that you've at least read it one time already, and that you have clicked on all of the blue words that you may not know what they mean, because it will read it to you and it will tell you what those words mean. So make sure that you've done that, and we'll go ahead and start with the second section, read to analyze. So I'm going to jump over to page 2 here. If it lets me. Page 2. Come on. My computer is being slow. Okay.
Ready for our second
read? So he says, ready for the second read this time.
This time, I'm going to keep track of how many questions you get right.
So she does keep track. This part is for a grade.
But it's important that you reread it.
Make sure you reread it.
Your answers. If you do that, you'll get a better score.
Perfect. Let's get started. All right. So, Gateway to the West.
Remember how we talked
There
about
are going to be some times where we have to listen to our friends talk.
At the Gateway Arch? Now, we've got a new big question. How was your point of view about the Gateway Arch like or different from the author's point of view? The first thing we better do is figure out what the author's point of view about the Gateway Arch is.
All right, so we have to figure out what the author thinks first. So let's go ahead and get started. You should have already read this, but I'm going to go ahead and click on the questions and kind of walk you through those.
Select the word that best shows the author's point of view about how the arch looks.
So this is saying select the word that best shows the author's point of view. So remember, a point of view is not a fact. It's an opinion. So it's something that I might say, I don't think it's that at all. I think it's this. A fact is something that nobody can argue with, right? If something's red, it's red. Like it just is. But depending on what the author thinks, the author might think something's pretty and maybe you don't think so. Or the author might think something is an opinion. So out of these words, which one is an opinion? Which word best shows the author's point of view about how it looks? So do you think that silver is an opinion or a point of view? Do you think it being tall and the tallest structure in the city is an opinion and point of view? Do you think that a remarkable structure is an opinion and that that's a point of view from the author? Or do you think that the history being interesting talks about how the arch looks? You have to think hard about that one. There's two that are opinions that we can narrow it down to, but I want to know which one's talking about what the arch looks like. What it actually looks like, not the story behind it. So you'll have to triple check that one. All
Which
right, the
text
next
detail
one.
about the Gateway Arch does this photo support?
So this one is talking about the photo and using the photo in order to find a detail that goes with it. Does this picture show how the city lights in the water reflect off of the arch? Is this all lighting up so pretty because of the reflection? Maybe, maybe not. Does this picture show how the arch is taller than any of the other buildings in the city? That is something that we read. Does this picture show how the arch shines brighter than all of the buildings? Or does it show that St. Louis is a port city that ships goods around to different places? Which one does the photo support? So in this case, what can you notice about the arch? It's either talking about lights reflecting, it's taller, it's a port city. So I'll tell you right now, it doesn't really tell me anything about it being a port city or that it ships things off. So we can rule that one out. The arch to me is not really shining. So I'm going to rule out the two that talk about lights reflecting off of it. Even though you can kind of see some lights, I don't really see them on the arch. I see them more in the water. And I do think that the height of it is being shown here. You'll have to decide if you think that's the most shown in this picture. And it does offer you a hint as you need it. All right, so I'm going to skip to page 3. I really like this one because I think it's short and it's sweet and it's to the point. So it's not super, super long like some of the other ones that we have had before.
Do you remember what you said earlier when I asked you how you feel about visiting the Gateway Arch?
I would love to go visit.
Do you still feel that way now that you know more about the arch?
When the author shares his feelings and
I
descriptions,
feel like I'm
looking at the arch. Maybe a travel blog will interest other people.
Travel blogs are so cool.
Use text features
Love
like
those.
photos, captions, and headings in your blog. They're really helpful.
Text features. We have talked about text features. So things like headings, things like captions underneath the picture. So I'm going to show you on my screen what they're talking about. This is a heading, the story behind the arch. The other heading is also here. Headings are things that break up the text. We have different paragraphs here, obviously, but the headings are things that kind of organize it by ideas. So if you were writing a book about your life, you might have different headings or different chapters. That would be chapter 1, when I was a baby. Chapter 2, when I was in kindergarten. Chapter 3, second grade. You know, it would go through in different parts. Chapter 4, you in high school. So it depends on, usually they organize things by a certain topic. In this case, they're telling you the story over here and then what it would be like to visit over here. So I'm going to click this question.
The heading of this section is the story
So it's
behind
telling
the
you the
arch.
heading.
What can you figure out by reading only this heading?
What can I figure out without reading any of this? Just the heading alone. The story behind something. So don't look at the caption. This is a caption. It tells me about the picture. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the heading. The story behind the arch. Is that tell me that the arch is next to the river? Doesn't really say anything about a river here. The arch honors pioneers who went out west. That's probably what this is talking about, but just the heading alone tells me that there's some sort of story, and I want to know why. Does it tell me about St. Louis in the heading, or does it tell me that there's a reason why they built the arch? If there's a story behind it, there's probably a good reason why. All right, let's see. The next one. Select the highlighted sentence.
That best shows the
Author's point of view
about the Gateway Arch that Saarinen built.
Okay, so we have these two paragraphs, and I want to know the author's point of view about that arch. So again, we're not looking for facts. We're looking for opinions. We are opinion seekers. So we are going to get on our magnifying glass, and we are going to search sentence by sentence until we find an opinion. So built in the 1960s, stands along the western bank of the Mississippi. Interestingly, an immigrant named Saarinen designed the arch. That's a fact. He designed it. He moved to the United States as a child. That's a fact. Just like pioneers, he moved west. That's a fact. He grew up. What do you think? One of the most spectacular things he ever built? You have to tell me if you think that that is the correct answer. So remember, which one of these is an opinion and not a fact? Something that someone could disagree with if they wanted to. I think that's the one we just did.
Select the highlight.
All right, so let's go next to page 4. We're almost done. Page 4.
Here's the page that tells about the tram
The
ride.
tram ride.
From my point of view, the tram doesn't sound very comfortable. I'd say that this description does not give me a positive feeling.
Oh, but to get a chance to go to the top
Hopefully
of the
you're
arch,
not scared of heights.
totally worth it. From my point of view, when I blog about my trip to the top of the arch, you'll love every second of the ride. You'll see.
All right, so they're talking about the top of the arch. What a cool way to visit and see all that whole city. All right, so I'm going to just pop into the questions. Again, make sure that you are rereading this as we go. Click on the words, and it will tell you to flip, and it will even read you what the word is and what it means. So make sure you're doing that if you run into words you do not know. All right.
What is the meaning of the word
quarters
in the highlighted sentence? Use context
This one's
clues to help
tricky.
you answer.
So quarters, I will tell you right now, it is not quarters like coins. I will just let you rule that one out. We use quarters all the time in our hands to pay for things. We're not talking about quarters like coins. In this case, I'm going to highlight some of the words I think are important. So I would say it can get very hot inside. So the word inside. Let me see if I can write with it. If I can write with my little pencil. So the word inside. Boom. That's very important. So they're talking about the tram cars. Inside the tram cars, they're very, very small. The word quarters right here, it says the tight quarters and heat bother people. So it's talking about how small the cable car is or the tram is. What is tight? When we say tight, what do you think we're talking about? The tight parts that are around you, the tight windows that are around you. Are the windows themselves tight? Or are we talking about the space that's hot and inside and very, very like small? It already mentioned small here, and it's talking about getting hot inside. So which one of these do you think makes the most sense about it being a tight area that's hot and small? So you'll have to go based off of that. I feel like I'm giving you guys all the answers this time, but that's okay. As long as you understand kind of where I'm going with it. That's what I'm wanting. All right, let's go back to my cursor. Let's go back to the next, whoops, not that. Let's go back to the main page. We got one more question over here.
Which detail from the text best shows the author's feelings about the observation area?
So how does the author feel about the area that you can actually watch and observe from? Oh, let me erase my... Okay. So this is what the author thinks. Which sentence tells me what the author thinks about the area you can go see? Each window is small, and then it gives you the measurements. Is that telling me about what the author thinks about the area? If the author is going to go see this area, which one tells me what he thinks about it? The windows to me seem a little bit too specific. I don't know anything about what he's looking at or what it's like up there. The views from the top are amazing. Is that an opinion that he thinks about the observation area? The views from the top are amazing. If you visit on a foggy day, you won't see anything at all. Maybe that's a fact. It could be kind of an opinion. But I want to know, based on everything you read on this page, which one grasps as a whole how this author feels about it. Does he think that it's a terrible thing, that you won't see anything and that it's always foggy? Or do you think it's more of a positive feedback, that he enjoys the observation area? You'll have to decide. This one's more positive and this one's more negative. So you'll have to read and tell me which one you think makes more sense to that author or from that author's opinion. On a clear day, you can see as far as 30 miles. The numbers to me usually mean that it's a fact. So in this case, 30 miles, that can't be argued with. Somebody's not going to say, oh, actually it's 50 miles or 100 miles. It's either 30 or it's not 30. So that to me is a fact. It's not really an opinion. So you have to narrow down here to the two opinions and figure out which one tells me the best opinion of the author's opinion overall. That one's a little bit tricky. Is it overall more positive or is it overall more negative? And we are on to the last page of this section.
We're getting closer to answering our big question.
Hooray!
How is your point of view about the Gateway Arch like or different from the author's point of view?
From my point of view, the arch is awesome.
Awesome.
So that's what she thinks.
Well, I guess if you can carry that excitement into your blog, you'll get lots of readers who are interested. Even me.
Okay, so that's her opinion. The author's point of view might be a little bit different from what you think. So let's go ahead and do our last ones.
That tells the main idea of the second paragraph.
All right, remember, main idea, big picture. Think puzzle pieces. What is the big puzzle picture on the front of the box? Let's say this paragraph right here, second paragraph, is our puzzle. I don't want pieces. I want the overall picture. So make sure you pick one. Usually the big picture is something that is more broad. It's a bigger idea instead of little added details like colors or shapes or little ideas that help paint the picture. But I don't even know what those things are until I know what the big picture is. So I want you to check these looks like four sentences. Which one is the most broad and talks about the big idea in this paragraph? A park, something having two ponds, something about water being reflective in there, or that there's two great arches in a park. Which one encompasses the big picture of that paragraph? I don't want details, so make sure you click hint in case you need the hint. Only one sentence tells me what the paragraph is about. The other sentences give me more information about it, and those are details. So I want the one that tells me the big picture. All right, last question.
Look at the chart. Select the question mark.
So we'll click
choose
this.
the statement that best
Author's
tells
point of
the
view.
author's point of view about the Gateway Arch.
So here are some details or added pieces of information. So this is a piece of information. The arch is a piece of eye candy. Think about how you react when you see candy. It's amazing. It tastes great. It's eye candy. It's candy for your eyes. It's beautiful. It's amazing. That means that it's more of like a positive, to me, that's a positive thing. The author thinks it's beautiful. It lifts your heart and your spirit. That's what the author thinks. The author thinks it makes you feel happy and inspired and encouraged. So by clicking this, do we think that the author thinks it's boring but looks pretty, disappointing, wonderful, or it's nice but could be better? Which one, based on both of these, that it looks beautiful and that it also makes you feel good, makes it how the author feels? So that is it for the Read to Analyze. I'm so happy with iReady. I think this one is actually a little bit easier than the ones we've been doing. So hopefully this helps boost some grades. And I think you guys have been working really hard, almost too hard. I think the last iReadies were really difficult. So I'm glad that this one will be here to kind of balance it out. So we're going to go to Read to Write real quick, and then we'll be done. So Read to Write, this one is your short response.
One more big question.
And we
For
want
this
text
one,
evidence
you
for
need to
this.
write a longer answer. And as always, go back to the text to find evidence. Use these arrows to turn the pages.
Okay, so we have the text right in front of us in case we
help
need
you
it.
Understand what the text says you can see on a visit to the Gateway Arch. What photos or maps would you add to the article? What would those illustrations help you understand? Write 2 paragraphs. Include information from the pictures and the text.
Okay, so I want to know how that picture helps me, right? So for this one, I'm going to write the illustration shows me what the text meant when it said that. What did it say? That's a good one. The sweeping curve. I like that one. Your eyes travel upward, the sweeping curve. So I'm going to say the illustrations, because there's more than one, show me what the text means. I'll say means when it says that your eyes travel up the sweeping curve. That's my example. You don't have to copy mine. A good one might be like, I'll give you guys some with blanks instead in case that helps you. The pictures show me blah, blah, blah. And reminds me of when the text said blah, blah, blah. That's probably an easier way to think about it. So the pictures show me this, and it reminds me of when the text said that. I would like to add blah, blah, blah. So it says, what photos or maps would you think that you would like to add? So based on what you think might be more helpful to the story, what do you think you would like to add in there? That maybe you could offer some more visual for your reader. And then these would help my readers see this. I think it would help them see. So this was just my example. You don't have to include that. In fact, I'll probably delete that. I like these better because it helps prompt you guys what I'm looking for. But really, I'm just thinking about pictures, how they helped in this case, and what you would like to add if you were to change the story a little bit. So have fun with that. I'm not looking for 2 big paragraphs. I really just need maybe a paragraph, 3 or 4 sentences, nothing big. But I'm very proud of you guys. Thank you for sticking with me. If you made it to the end of the video, you are awesome. But I wish you guys well this week, and I will talk to you guys soon.